Hello artists, welcome to your Multnomah Falls painting class. My name is Miss M, and in front of you, you should have your canvas, long ways like so, a large brush, a small brush, a paper towel, a cup of water, also white, black, dark blue, green, and yellow. Let's go ahead and get started. The first thing I'm going to have you do is wash and dry both of your brushes, getting them clean. Get our brushes nice and clean, and then we're going to pat them onto our paper towel, like so. And then you are going to paint all of your canvas all black with your big brush. So big brush, black paint, and all that space in an up and down motion, you're going to paint black. You want to make sure you don't have any bumps. You want to make sure you have a nice smooth canvas. But all of the canvas is going to be completely painted in black first. In a moment, I'll also paint the four sides black as well. But I do want to get the front part all covered in black first. Be sure you don't have any white peeking through. You in a nice solid black background. Nice and smooth as well. If you have big bumps, it'll take you forever to dry, so be sure you have nice black background. Like so. And then also paint the left side with black. So to the bottom, and then move on to the left. And again, making sure there's no white peeking through. So the right side. nice solid background. Give this a couple minutes to dry, where you don't see as many shiny black spots, and then you can build on top of it. All right. I'm gonna wash and dry my brush, and before I start, I'm kind of gonna go over everything that we're gonna do super quick, and then we'll start. So we've done our black background. We're gonna let it dry, and then we'll start with our dark blue and our white for our water. Then once we're done with that, we are gonna start on our land, coming in with some sweeps of green. Dry your brush as well. And then our trees and our bridge. All right, I think I'm gonna put my video on pause for just a moment, give some time for my black to dry, and I'll be back. All right, I have given my black paint some time to dry. I also went and got a new cup of water, so if you wanted to go grab a new cup of water after you washed and dried your black paint off of your big brush, that is absolutely fine. It's probably a good suggestion. And again, be sure that your background isn't too shiny. We are going to start with our big brush and our blue paint. I'm going to start with our big brush and blue paint because we are going to do our water. And I'm pretty much going to split my canvas into 3 areas. 1, 2, 3. On that bottom third, I'm going to make a line going side to side to separate where the waterfall kind of ends and the water starts kind of going side to side. And I'm sweeping with my brush, which means I'm just kind of flicking my big brush side to side. And I'm almost going to the very end with my flicks. And if you're having a hard time moving your blue paint, you're welcome to just kind of sweep side to side. And then I'm going to come further down and sweep more. Almost going to the very edges of the left and right, but not quite yet. So sweeping side to side, the bottom third left to right only in the direction that the water is moving. And you still want to see some black peeking through. You do not want to completely cover the black. It's okay if you still have some peeking through. So again, stay down here with your blue. And if you feel like it's you can't see it too well, you can let it dry and then go back over it with another coat. So here's some blue going side to side, and then I'm going to grab some more blue going up and down and more in the middle. So just kind of that middle third, avoid the left and the right, but I'm using that same big brush, and now I'm working my waterfall in an up and down motion. In the middle third, so not this one, in the middle, not to the right. And again, I can use some water on my brush, maybe tap it a little bit on your paper towel. Just making some sweeps going down. Working all the way down to the line too. And you can again see some black peeking through. That is totally fine. I do go off a little bit on the left and on the right side and create some shorter sweeps. So on the left and on the right side, I do have some shorter sweeps of blue. Then I kind of come back and fill the space. Go back down here and make sure we're getting an amount of blue. Go all the way to the bottom, and then all to the way to the bottom with this blue as well. And before it dries, I'm going to wipe off my brush, and I'm going to add some white in both areas of water. So I'm not going to completely wash my brush. I'm just going to dry it onto the paper towel, and I'm going to just jump into the white paint. And I'm going to sweep more white up here on the top part, and then less and less as I'm getting further down. I might even want to tap my brush a little bit on my paper towel to get rid of some of the white, so it's not too much. And I'm just going to start up here and working more in the middle and less I go further down. And again, you can use some water, tap it on the paper towel, use that water to kind of move your paint. And if you feel like your white is kind of becoming too blue, you can let it dry and then just kind of add some white on top of that layer so it brightens it up again. So you can give it some drying time and then just kind of go over it with more white. Again, it's just kind of getting less and less as I'm going further down with my white paint. Tap on my paper towel. Some over areas. And again, these blues are still wet, both down here and up here, because you do want them to be blending with the white a little bit. Sweeps. All right, and then same idea, but more in an up and down motion. There is more white up here and down here, and a little bit less where our bridge is going to be. So I'm going to sweep. I'm just kind of sweeping down. Have some down here as well. Again, if you feel like you got too much white on there, you can let it dry. And add some blue on top. Or if you want to brighten it up, you can let the white dry and add some white on top. Go all the way down to this line, maybe sweep up a little bit. But again, a lot of sweeping where I'm kind of creating those feathery movements. So I did some on top, some on bottom. I'm kind of go in there just lightly. Add some in the middle area as well, just kind of going all the way across. But I definitely want to have more on top and more on bottom. Wipe off my brush. I do want to get some of my areas of white a little bit brighter, so I can go back here and find some areas maybe a little bit close to where they both meet and add a little bit of white to my brush. Tap it on my paper towel. Lay some more white on top. It's a little bit brighter. And then same up here. We tap some white on my brush and then tap it on my paper towel and then go in there and find some lighter areas of white as well. So I kind of have my blue, my medium blue, and more of a white sitting on top a little bit of all three. And again, if you feel like they're not blending together very well, you can add water to your brush, tap it on the paper towel, and kind of use just your water as a way to smooth out your paint and make that blue and that white work together a little bit better. Some longer sweeps, working in with some shorter sweeps in there. There we go. Awesome. All right. Next, we are going to wash and dry our big brush. So we want to wash and dry our big brush. And we're going to go in there and make our land with our green paint. And it's more sweeping where we're kind of flicking off the end of our brush. And I'm going to start about this high and bring my land in and just a little bit over my water. And I'm going to do some line work first. I'm just going to create some lines first and sweep down. So if you just want to watch really quick, and then you're welcome to join in whenever you're ready. So washed and dried big brush. Oh, and if you're not to this point yet, you're welcome to put the video on pause and then return when you're ready to start creating the land. So big brush, green paint. I'm going to come up a little bit more than halfway from this horizontal line, so about up here. I still want to leave some room for my trees later on. I'm going to make a little dash right here, and I'm going to come down into diagonal, a little bit of bumps here and there. Overlap over my water just a little bit, like so. So do you see how there's a little bit of a curve here and there in your water? Be sure to wipe off any blue. Maybe give it some extra time to dry. And then same for the right side of my land. I'm going to come up about the same height. And I'm going to be coming in towards the water too with a little bit of bumpiness on my land as well. There are your two land areas. Again, be sure maybe your blue's a little bit more dry. Mine, I feel like it's a little bit wet. So I have those two areas of land coming in. They don't have to be exactly the same size. You just want to make sure that they're both kind of coming in towards the water. And you can kind of imagine where your bridge will be later on as well. I'm going to actually come in just a little bit further so I have a little bit less space of black. So there. Make a little bit of a thicker line so I can see it a little bit better. So I'm going to go in there and so you can see it a little bit better as well. So I'm just going over my line work with a little bit of a thicker line. I'm just pushing down a little bit more over my brush. All right. Once I'm done, I can go into each section and just kind of start sweeping down with green. So I'm going to add green to my big brush, tap it on my paper towel. I'm going to start at this line work. I'm going to sweep down. I'm still going to see a lot of a black space right here. Just kind of sweeping down from the line. I think I'm going to go back later on, maybe at the end, and add more green on top. So over here, same thing. I'm going to sweep down. Again, I still see a lot of black space over here, so be sure not to go all the way down. And these are kind of at different levels, starting from my line, so they're not all perfectly lined up. You can always go back and give this a second coat if you feel like there's too much black poking through. But it's absolutely fine if there's a little bit of black. Ooh, kind of shown underneath the screen. It's okay if you still have a little bit of black poking through, but if you want it to be a little bit more solid, you can go back and add more green. Perfect. All right. That one right there. The next thing you're going to do is you are going to start building your trees. So you can wash and dry your big brush and put it off to the side. You're going to go to your small brush and you're going to add some yellow. So wash and dry your small brush. You're going to add some yellow paint. And you're going to start in the corners. So I'm going to start in the corner and I'm just going to kind of create these little bit of a wiggly line coming down. And then I'm going to break off a little bit lower, make another yellow line. And I'm going to kind of come to the right and make another yellow line. It kind of shows me where I'm going to start building my flowers. So I have one coming down, one in the middle, and one up top coming down at a diagonal and with a little bit of a wiggle on my brush. Once I'm done, I can go back to more yellow, and all I'm going to be doing is jumping with my small brush on these yellow lines. And it's okay if they kind of meet closer to the corners. I can kind of bring them together. But as they kind of go further out, they're kind of more on their own. So again, I'm just kind of jumping with my small brush. And I will be adding white to my brush in just a moment, but I want to lay that yellow down. And again, just jumping with the brush, up and down, like so. And then without cleaning my brush, I am going to add some white to it. So a nice clean area of white. I'm just going to be jumping on top of it with some white paint. So it's the yellow and the white working together. Come out a little bit further on this one. Maybe even come out a little bit further on that one. Come up a little bit more on that one too. Right. Come out a little bit further. Perfect. All right. Same thing with the tree on the right. I am going to start with my yellow, make some lines. So starting from the corner, I'm going to come down. And then I'm going to make another branch to the left, kind of coming over to the left. And then I'm going to make another branch kind of coming down. Like so. And then I'm going to go back for more yellow. I'm going to start bouncing. And again, I did not clean my brush. I just went straight from yellow to white and then back to yellow. It's okay if they kind of meet at the end here, but more on their own as they kind of branch out. Then I'm going to go in there and add some white. More bouncing with my brush. Back to more yellow. All right, same thing down here on the bottom left. And make some lines coming out and up. So it's kind of like that Y shape. Come out here to the right, maybe a little one up here. So I have that Y shape and then a little bit to the right, a little to the top. Same kind of idea. I'm gonna jump with my big brush, with my small brush. Add add some white to my brush. Just kind of adding the white just randomly. It doesn't have to be in any perfect spots. They're very random in this painting. So we have another one down here. Same idea. Okay, here. Sorry. Go in there and make like another Y shape. Come out a little bit more. No, but more like that too. No, that's, oops, sorry. I'll go back to more yellow. Add some white. Some white to this one too, sorry. A little bit more yellow. Get all those areas covered. So I have yellow, then white. Just jump in with my brush. I am going to let them dry for a little bit before I put any branches on top. And then just kind of fill out that space. Go in there and break it up just a little bit. And I'm also going to add some dots to these a little bit later too. Go in there, kind of touch these up just a little bit. Get them kind of where you want. Just make these a little bit thicker on the bottom and not look as pointy. Going back and touching all of them up. Yeah, making these sides a little bit more thick so they don't look as pointy. All right, I think I am ready for the bridge. So I have given some time for my water to dry. I'm ready to start making that bridge. You are gonna mix yourself some like pencil lead gray by mixing some white and black together. So let's do that first. Let's see, if you need to grab a paper plate at this time, you can, or maybe just kind of work off one of your lids that you have too. So I'm going to take a little bit of black and a little bit of white and mix myself a nice gray. So I'm using my small brush and mixing a nice like pencil lead gray. If you need to be lighter, add more white. If you need to be darker, add more black. And if you're still working on your trees, you're welcome to push a little bit of a pause on this video, and then you can make your gray for your bridge. All right, so I have a nice gray on there. What I'm going to do is I'm pretty much going to make a ladder. I'm going to also wipe off the sides so I don't have big chunks of gray paint. I'm going to make a ladder, one row, a second row, and then I'm going to connect the two. So I'm going to start a little bit further down from the top. Start on this one, go side to side. I'm just going to have a line that's going side to side. Get my brush a little bit wet, tap it on the paper towel. It's going a little dry on me, so I'm going to go over that gray to smooth it out. And then I'm going to go back to that same gray. Come a little bit further down, not too far down. Make that second line, like so. And then start from the left and make sure your lines are nice and straight. Again, it kind of looks like a ladder on its side. All right. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to come down a little bit further and make a rainbow that the top of it meets in the middle. So let me show you how. So I'm going to come down just a little bit, come up, and make sure this meets with this down here. Nice gray rainbow. And then I'm going to come down and make some lines coming down a little bit. So I'm going to actually work off, let's see, I'm going to work off this line, maybe just a little bit, and work off a little bit to the right of that line. Same with this one. I'm going to work off a little bit to the right of this one. That one. And it's kind of tricky, so be sure you're watching, but there is a little bit of a rainbow shape between each one of these, so go back and kind of fill this in. So do you see that little rainbow shape right there? Same with over here. I'm going to go in there and make a rainbow shape and paint above it. Make a rainbow shape. Same over here, rainbow shape, and then this rainbow shape right here. So I have some of that gray as well. Perfect. And then without cleaning my brush, I am just going to go back to add a little bit of white. Wiping it off. Not too much on there, maybe getting some off on your paper towel so you don't have too much on there. Just sweep a little bit of white here and there. Kind of create some areas of light. A little bit of white on my small brush, and just be on the tippy toes. You can go in there and just add some white highlights in there as well. Awesome. All right. I'm going to wash and dry my brush. I'm going to create some bubbles down here, and then the branches and the dots to my trees, and I will be done. So small brush, make sure it's nice and clean, wash and dried. I'm going to go back to a nice clean area of white. I'm going to create kind of like a bubbly area down here. I'm going to sweep over the middle. Very thin lines, don't push too hard on your brush. Very thin white line. And then I'm just going to push up a little bit with my brush. Some higher, some lower. And create these little areas of bubbles. Like so. Perfect, perfect. The back of my small brush, I'm also going to use some white. And I'm going to make some fun little dots around my trees, mostly on the ends, but remember, the harder you push, the bigger the lines become, so you can have like a nice variety. Some on the left, some on the right, just kind of as little fillers on the outside of my trees. It's just really fun. And I'll be doing that to all the trees. You can kind of go in a little bit. You can do as many or as little as you want. I just kind of like to play off of each little branch that comes out. Get a nice variety of dots. You can kind of come into the tree a little bit too, some on the black. So I'm using the back of my small brush, like a stamp, making some bigger dots, some smaller dots, making it a little bit more fun. And if you're still working on these white areas, you're welcome to pause the video and come back to it whenever you are ready for the next step. I'm going to go back and touch up this green right here while I'm waiting for my trees to dry up a little bit more before I put branches on them. If you want to go back and touch up anything at this point, you can. We're letting our trees dry for a little bit before we place some branches on top. So once you are done with kind of everything else, you are going to grab your small brush and get it nice and clean. I would probably bring my small brush to a point and black paint, just a little bit of black paint, tap it on your paper towel, and then just lightly go in there and make branches here and there, almost like a Y shape. You don't want too many, and you just want a little bit of black on your brush. So if you want to watch for just a moment, it's okay if your yellow paint's a little bit wet. I'm trying to make this line. Maybe another branch. So you barely want them to kind of show, but there's a little bit of black branches, and that yellow is still a little bit wet, so it's kind of working with the yellow as well. Let me do another one. So small brush, bring it to a nice point, black paint, maybe wipe off some on your brush, not too much on there. I'm going to come down with a little bit of a wiggle on my brush, and then I'll just kind of break off some branches, almost like some upside down Ys. I'll come make another one there. If this seems kind of too scary, you're welcome to just leave your trees to be yellow. You don't have to do it. I'm gonna go back to more black, barely any paint. Or you can always let them dry and then go back and build some yellow and white on top of it. Make a branch kind of going into the right. We have a branch going out this way. Like so. More black, barely any paint on my brush. Make another kind of Y shape right here. Coming out to the side. So they're kind of broken off. There's usually like one main branch, and then you have some kind of breaking off in there too. Kind of flicking at the end of my brush strokes. Kind of create those thinner ends. Fix this black up. Perfect, and there you go. There is your beautiful Multnomah Falls painting. I hope you had a great time. Thank you so much for joining us, artists. Have a beautiful day.